Hi, welcome to What Now? I'm your host, Chrystal Ojon, and my co-host here, Shannon Hughes. We have a really exciting topic today, yeah? We're going to talk about date rape, and we know that this is a reoccurring issue that gets swept under the table a lot, but we want to talk about what is date rape? Why are we still having these issues here in 2026, and who is affected the most? So there's a couple things that we want to talk about. One, I think, was really interesting, or I think very important, is about consent. Mm-hmm. Now, back in the day, people used to say, "Oh, I didn't consent to being raped. The person just attacked me," that sort of thing. Well, what is consent? Because a lot of people muddy that, and they'll say, "Well, you let me in your apartment." Right. So you obviously consented, or I gave you a drink of alcohol, obviously you consented, mm-hmm. But that's not really what it means. So there is a fine line between that. And in some women, in some instances, they'll freeze. Yeah. So, you're in a relationship or first date or something like that, and you get accosted. Again, this is an issue that is still going on. You get accosted, and then you freeze. Does that mean consent? What do you think about that?
Absolutely not. I think another thing is muddy the waters is how you present, what you're dressed.
Right.
Well, you were dressed provocatively.
Yeah.
So that means it's okay.
Right.
And I think too, what you were talking about phrasing, a big part of that's a trauma response.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if you're scared at this moment, sometimes you don't know what to say. So just saying nothing does not mean yes.
Yes.
Correct? So I think that's a big thing too. Or just because you consent to go on a date with somebody or let them in your apartment, that does not mean that was going to turn into something else.
That's right.
I think too, even in my generation, I think we think date rape doesn't happen anymore. Or like, I protect my drink, so that doesn't happen. Like, it's not always drugging you too, right?
Yeah.
And there's also sneakier ways for people to put stuff in your drink.
Yeah.
So I think maybe talking about some of those tactics, like,
I even heard that somebody was talking. We were talking about it earlier that they don't have to put nothing in your drink, but they can touch you with something like that, and rub it out. You touch it with your fingers and it'll absorb into your skin, and you're out of it.
Yeah,
a lot of things going around. Yeah,
it's not even that they need to get to your drink anymore. Even you were protective over your drink, but you danced together, so you guys rubbed up against each other, and now bam.
Oh my gosh.
Because if they're able to do it, have you heard about with people in their cars how they can put a napkin in your door handle and you touch the napkin, or they'll drop money by your car, and if you touch the money, it's laced with something. Mm-hmm. And I think the common drug right now is fentanyl. All they need to do is touch it, because even cops have been known to OD and feel the effects when they're dealing with stuff like that, touching it with your beard, because it can soak through that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. And so that's kind of what we were talking about with the date rape drugs, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is why victims are not so quick to report rape. And in my opinion, I absolutely think it's shame. Yeah. Fear of not being believed. Yeah. It's a taboo subject, and let's be real. Back in the day, when we were young, and so I'm much older than you. I'm in my 60s, but when you as a young person would say, "Hey, something's going on. Uncle such and such is touching me," or whatever. Oh no, you just imagined that. Mm-hmm. Oh, stop running around there with the short dress on, and that kind of thing. But they don't report because of shame, and we've got to do something about that. And I think your generation is a little bit more apt to talk about it now.
Yeah.
Not be shamed.
Mm-hmm. I would say we're more vocal, but it still resonates. I mean, there's even stuff people question, okay, well, did I lead them on? Yeah. Well, did I give consent? I don't know. Yeah. So I think even if people aren't shameful about it, sometimes we're quick to victim blame ourselves. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And also, too, it could... Your statement maybe couldn't be taken seriously by police because they're like, well, you let it on, you egged it on. And a big part of it is, I understand that like the standard on the way we dress has changed, but that's a big issue.
Distrust of the system.
Yeah. Or because she wore short shorts or something like that, it's okay to touch upon somebody, or be more physical with them, or a little more aggressive in that regard because of the way she walks around. And even if I don't agree with how you dress, it doesn't mean that it's okay for something like that to happen to you.
Okay.
Do you remember I was telling you about the website?
Mm-hmm.
So CNN did a story on a website called Rape Academy, and it was grossing about 60 million views per month for the duration that it was up. And this was recent, so I'm like, it's not this unknown thing, and it's not as niche as people think it is. Like, that's a big amount of men.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't know if it was just men, but
yeah.
from what I can assume, even 60 million people being interested on how to do acts like that is crazy. It kind of goes to show the world that we're living in today, too.
The mindset is really sick.
Mm-hmm.
And how, I guess, slowly and progressively it's just seeped into, basically our lives. And,
Yep.
and we're okay with it. We have to do something about it. We've got to speak out. And this is what we're talking about a little bit today, because it's really concerning.
It is.
Statistically, we know that most females are going to be victims of rape, but also there are men. And
Really?
I don't really want to talk about that. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. They're saying that nearly 1 in 3 men experience sexual violence around, and they are silent about male victimization. So they're, again, shame.
Right.
Who wants to admit, I got accosted, I'm a man,
Right.
Why didn't I stand up for myself and fight? Well, there might have been extenuating circumstances as well. Date rape, drug. Maybe the person was more physically stronger,
Right.
And they raped him.
Right.
I mean, that's a horrible thing to have to admit.
Horrible. Yeah, and then too, I think the masculinity aspect. I mean, what man wants to be like, a woman
Right.
took advantage of me?
That's right.
Because then the automatic thing is like, you were weak, or like, how does a woman take advantage of a man?
Mm-hmm.
Or that the man automatically likes it just because it's a woman doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think too, to kind of segue into how technology has changed things, like social media and dating apps and stuff like that. It's kind of gave predators like a whole hunting ground, right?
That's right. It's very easy, I guess, now to entrap. Even from what I understand, there are young kids that are being sucked into that through social media, and then being shamed into, cajoled, or as I would say, cajoled. They're being talked into doing certain things like showing their body parts, and that person uses that to as leverage to get them to do other things.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting topic. I'm glad we're talking about it. We're going to wrap up and come back and talk a little bit more about date rape.
Human trafficking is happening right here in Arizona, often right in front of us. Every 2 minutes, a child is trafficked in the U.S. Traffickers are clever. They use social media, fake jobs, and ride shares to lure victims. Stay alert. Don't pick up business cards or money from the ground. Check your car door handles for tissues or markings. These could be signals. Be cautious of hidden trackers like AirTags. If you ever feel unsafe in a store, ask an employee to walk you out. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, leave immediately and call 911. If you suspect trafficking, reach out to the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or visit polarisproject.org. Your awareness can save lives.
Welcome back to What Now? We're going to continue our conversation, and tonight we're talking about date rape, which is really a serious problem going on, and not just for women. That's a big part that we were talking about, is men are experiencing this as well. And something my co-host kind of hit me to is it's not really men experiencing it from women, it's men experiencing it from other men.
That's correct.
So maybe we dive a little deeper into that.
And unfortunately, I've talked to even family members who said they will have uncles that have gone through the whole family, rape all the boys, rape all the girls, entire families. And in some cases, all the family members knew this uncle had those proclivities, yet they still allowed him around because he's still family. No, so we've got to, where that thought came from, I don't know how. Other than back in the day, and I'll say in our culture, we only had each other. So a lot of times we overlook things because, we only had each other, culturally speaking. So we will wink or look over some things. Or maybe we're in a situation, like some mothers are in a situation where they can't pay the rent. The husband is paying for everything. So therefore, whatever he does to the daughters, stepdaughters, it's allowed because he's paying the rent. And a lot of times it's happening to men. I did speak to a man I dated some years ago. Now, he was the only one I had ever heard about who was raped by his father's girlfriend. The father would leave to go to work after he was with the girlfriend, and he would say, "Okay, son, get up and get ready for school." And he would tell this other lady, "Get up and you go and get on out of here." And she would take her time. When the father would leave, she would engage in sex with the son, who was in high school.
Oh my goodness.
And he said that he didn't think at the time it was rape. And then later, as he got older, he thought, it really wasn't, I wasn't consenting. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to tell this lady no. So it does happen in that instance.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Yeah, it is.
Especially too, when we were talking about shame behind victims, I think men hold a different level of shame too, because I mean, even to me, it kind of was shocking. You know what I mean? And we're going to tell you guys some statistics that will probably surprise you. But I think most men, like, their obligation is to be strong, and they're supposed to be the protectors, and they got violated. So how do you, as a protector, as a male, now come say, like, this horrible thing happened to me and look for protection from somebody else?
And some of their trauma response is anger. They get a gun, they want to beat somebody, they want to shoot somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to get it out some kind of way. So
so they could go the complete opposite and be almost too masculine and too aggressive later in life, experiencing something like that early too.
Right.
You had a statistic here that was super shocking to me.
Yeah.
Was it like 80% of women? And what's the percentage of it? Because it's not as
if we go by
crazy
gender,
different. Yeah, by gender, as I thought it was.
Yeah, it's half of women, 53%, and nearly 1/3 of men, 29%, report experiencing sexual violence. So that means they report it.
Right.
What about the ones that don't report it?
Right.
So it's basically women, and about 1 in 26 men experience or experienced, completed, or been raped. That's high. 81.3% of female about 81.3% of female victims and 70% of male victims experienced their first completed attempted rape before the age of 25.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
And it's shaping you your whole adult life after that.
Before the age of 25. So you're talking about a person in their 20s now has got to deal with trauma from that.
Right.
They've got to go through life, I guess, just dealing with why did that happen to me? So I'll give you a very good example. I am 64, but before I turned 20, probably I was accosted at least 3 times.
Wow.
And so that's in Los Angeles, California. So, can you imagine some of the other areas where the population maybe might be more conducive to kids walking around by themselves because they have to. They're latchkey kids, their parents are off to work and that sort of thing. You're open to whatever,
Right.
Yeah.
Before you even got into a serious relationship or anything like that.
Correct.
So it's almost, it makes you coming into a relationship with already existing trauma.
That's right. And
there was a lot of that in my family too.
Really?
My brother had an experience, and he didn't tell us until he got into college that this had happened to him his whole childhood by someone close in our family that used to watch us as kids. And I was right there with him and had no idea. I had no idea. And then I remember him breaking down and telling us in college, and it was like, oh my gosh. And this person was still heavily ingrained because they were our family.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like this person that you trusted that we basically got raised by, that side of our family. And this has been going on his whole life. And then it left him very confused in adulthood because it was male on male.
Yeah.
So then for a long time in college, he was experimenting, thinking, maybe I am this.
Right.
And then realizing this isn't his identity and that's not his preference, but it was actually a trauma response.
Yeah.
Because how do you, when that's almost shaped you to think that that's what you like, which is horrible.
It is horrible. And it says that under the law of ARS 1406, date rape falls under sexual assault defined as knowingly forcing or coercing someone into sexual activity without consent. So that's considered a Class 2 felony, which carries severe penalties and mandatory prison. But unfortunately, the numbers also are underreported, so you've got a lot of people walking around here free as a bird who really need to be in jail, unfortunately. And I heard this one stat. It said that one of the most critical and underreported crises in our state are indigenous tribal communities in Arizona.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, American Indians are 2.5 times more likely to experience sexual assault compared to all races, other races. 1 in 3 Native American women report being raped during their lifetime. Federal prosecutors decline to prosecute 67% on tribal lands. So what is going on with that? And,
oh my gosh.
they're at the greatest risk, Native Americans. And so that's why you see some of them red and turquoise print, because there's some sort of movement, I think, to try to deal with that.
Yeah.
Missing women.
I was about to say a lot of them are missing too.
A lot of them are missing.
Yes.
So what is going on with that?
Right. And then too, I mean, if people report it, you see that they're not prosecuting. The backlog.
So why report it? That's what's going to happen, And then this is a weird statistic. It said while 80% of rapes are reported by white women, women of color are statistically more likely to be assaulted than white women and simply report it for less. Every black woman who reports her rape, at least 15 black women do not report it. So that's approximately 60% of black girls experience sexual abuse by age 18.
I think too, because of the distrust we've kind of built up in the system.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, even if are you going to do anything about it? Because I think we are more predisposed to not be believed by law enforcement.
Yeah.
We're at the most risk for certain things like that. I mean, in our community, I know at least where I'm from, police are not your friends. You're prepped to protect yourself from police, not go to police for protection.
That's right.
We're taught more in our communities how to avoid a traffic stop without getting killed or without something going left.
Good
and
point.
how do we have to tighten up and okay, when you're dealing with cops, it's not something that we're gonna go walk willingly into.
Yeah.
I mean, I can speak from personal experience. I haven't had to, but my first call would be my husband, not police, if I really needed help in the situation. And that's sad to say too. Because it's even the people that, are there to protect us, we don't trust them.
And there's also criminal justice disparity.
Yeah.
So alleged perpetrators were less likely to be convicted when victims were black compared to when they were white. So we've got that issue.
Right.
So
they don't believe us anyway. So it's like, okay, if we do show up and we do report, they don't believe us.
So we figure, what's the point,
Right.
And, even as a mom with sons, I was, from my own trauma, was always watching. Get up out of such and such's lap.
Yeah.
Get up out of it. And you have to watch your children, be proactive, keep them safe, do whatever you have to do. But, it does exist. It's still going on. So as a mom, you've got young boys, so that's something I'm sure you're going to be kind of hyper aware about.
100%. I think too, as parents, we need to take accountability because, it starts at home first. So teaching your kid how to protect themselves, what consent really is.
That's right.
Guarding them to an extent, but also teaching them how to navigate the situations because from what we can see, a lot of this is happening in college. So that's,
right.
Very early on in life. That's like your first little step of freedom.
Oh my gosh.
And, we're that's where a lot of this is happening. So it's like, okay, they're ill prepared to kind of deal with stuff like this.
It's true. San Diego State, that's where I was. It's called Party School. And as soon as we got to San Diego State, the first thing we did was where the party at.
Right.
So, we're going to wrap up and come back and talk a little bit more about date rape and, how it's affecting our community in particular.
Okay.
The What Now Show brings you real stories from real people making a difference. We sit down with nonprofits, community leaders, and everyday heroes who are changing their communities. Each episode dives into purpose, local resources, mental health, and those tough conversations that often get overlooked. It's bold, relatable, and real, leaving you with the question, what now? Catch us on YouTube at What Now Show AZ, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at What Now DAZ. For more information, visit whatnowshow.godaddisites.com or email us at whatnowdaz@gmail.com.
Welcome back to What Now? I'm here with my co-host, Shannon Hughes, and we've had a great discussion really about date rape, and just the horrific result of what that can do to a child's life and into our adult life, that sort of thing. But there are some key specific things that you can do as a community member, by the way.
Yeah.
You can have neighborhood level conversations about consent and safety and bystander intervention. So there's lots of things we can do. We can get involved. We can have those conversations. We as community members could advocate for free drug testing kits at Maricopa bars and venues, that sort of thing.
Right.
I and myself, some of our own businesses, we're business leaders. We can advocate for that in our own businesses. And one thing I would like to do to discuss is that how we need to build relationships with our tribal leaders.
100%.
Maricopa sits right here in the Auction Indian community and Gila River. And so there's got to be some way that we can coordinate with the tribal leaders. What can we do to help? What kind of conversations could we, be involved in to help? Can we help raise money or be involved? And so that's one thing. And so there's a couple key numbers that you can call. There is RAINN, RAINN, National Sexual Assault Hotline. RAINN, National Sexual Assault Hotline. So it's 1-800-656-HOPE. 1-800-656-HOPE. And you can also text, crisis text line. You can text HOME 741-741 and just hit HOME. And those are some ways that you can at least reach out and get some help.
100%. Yeah. And so we touched on it a little bit. We just want to go a little bit deeper into how technology and social media and AI and this landscape of the internet has changed things for predators and victims, or even potential victims in the future, and even children, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important for everybody to know out there how to protect yourself and stay safe on the internet. And another level of that, if you're a parent, how to keep your children safe. And so I was telling Chrystal off camera a little bit about it. I have a 7-year-old, and I stopped posting him on social media now. Even my younger son, I don't have them attached to any of my social media. I try to keep their face off the internet as much as possible, because nowadays, and I know everybody knows a little bit about AI, but there's a very dark side to it where people are taking your children's face,
sadly,
removing their clothing.
Oh my gosh.
And producing their own child, with that. And it only takes one weirdo to see your kid on the internet and get a fixation. And now they're looking for any vulnerability. Mm-hmm. Like I was telling Chrystal, I saw something, they said, stop posting your kids in their sports team jerseys, stop posting your kids at school, because you're giving a potential predator, even though it's a sweet moment you want to share with your friends and family, make a private shared folder on Google Drive. Mm-hmm. On iCloud, if you have iPhone, you can share it with your family that way and get everybody on the same page. There's even some apps that don't share your kids' information, do your research, but Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, do not be posting your kids online. It's all it takes is one weirdo. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to figure out where your kid goes to school at, and I can stalk them outside, and all I need is a logo and to cross-search that with the internet and tell me everything I need to know about you. And now I'm going to look at your social media and see, okay, I see that she's out on date night right now. Her kid's probably home, and I done figured out where her house is because they posted in their backyard, and that matches the backyard of the... People get crazy. Wow. And the technology has advanced so far. All I need is a tidbit to find everything on you. Mm-hmm. And all I need is your full name to find your address. Oh. So... nowadays,
programs and apps you can use to
because unfortunately, your information is out there, and so all I need to know is that I like the way your kid looks, and now I have your name. I'm gonna go for it, and there's no stopping a predatory person from doing that. Yeah.
And hunting seems to be the thing for them. They want to hunt and do that.
And it's just the internet's made it 10 times easier for them to do that. I think another piece is we know a lot of people are repeat offenders, and it's important to know when you move into an area, or even an area you've lived in for a long time, to look at the maps online.
Yes.
Look at your local registry and see who's really living around you.
That's right.
Because you'd be shocked. I mean, you could think you live in the safest place ever. I've done it even where we live at in Maricopa, and it's like, wow, good to know. And then also you can see their face and know, okay, if I see that person out and around, because most of the people doing it are repeating.
You're right. And there's a national registry. There's no reason for you not to know that there's a predator or an offender in your 100%. Neighborhood. And sometimes they'll put the little orange dots where they're located. They might be on your block, for God's sake. So as a parent, it's their duty to check that out.
I want to bring up another point we haven't even touched on too, especially because we're in a border state and it is a big problem. Sometimes date rape, sometimes people abusing your kids, it's not always just an individual predator. Like, there is sex trafficking, and that is real.
Good point.
You know what I mean? I was telling Chrystal, and she didn't even know about this, but a new tactic right now is putting money near your car. Putting like a napkin or something in your door, so when you go to take that out, whatever just soaked into your skin, now your kids are gone because they're in the back seat, or you're gone.
Oh, God.
You know, it really can happen that fast, and it's unfortunate that it's where we're at, but, you know, and not that I'm completely anti-cop, because I know they're here to protect and serve, but they can't do it all. Like, you have to be protective over yourself and your children.
Good point.
And you should just... A number one tip that I've learned too is stop rushing. Take your time. Be no matter if you're in a rush anywhere, especially when you're getting in and out of your vehicle, pulling into a place. Be aware of your surroundings, because it could take that one couple seconds you took to just and look around and see what's going on to save you or your kid's life.
That's right.
Especially as women and as a mom that's out with her kids a lot on our own. We're the most vulnerable people. And that's how people look at us. I mean, whether they're going for your kid or you or all of you. So,
and I really want to talk about parental awareness.
Yes.
Like, let's say there's a parent at home and their kid is all of a sudden becoming withdrawn. This was a kid that was active, social. All of a sudden they're withdrawn. They're not talking to anybody. They're not talking to family members.
They're super emotional.
It is up to us as parents to find out what happened. Why is there this shift in your behavior?
Right.
Is something going on? And in many cases, when children are being molested or being abused in that way, their personality shifts dramatically.
Right.
So that's a clue right there that you need to, as a parent, go find out what's going on with your child.
Yeah.
You know, there are other things. They'll be fearful when they're sleeping. They may wet the bed. Those are some things we should pay attention to. They might have strained behavior when they're around somebody that comes into the family, comes to the house. All of a sudden, the kid's behavior changes when that person enters the room.
Right.
Those are things we have to be aware of. It's our obligation to do that.
100%.
You know? You had a couple points to make about that as well. Huh?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, too, if you guys have older children, so that's a big part for younger children. I mean, for one, just protect your kids at all times. Make sure they're being safe online. If your kids play online like Roblox or Fortnite, please be aware. Another tactic some of them are using is they will buy your kids stuff within the game.
That's horrible.
So it's almost becoming like, you know, their sugar whatever. And they're buying them and stuff for no reason, just to have conversation, and you know, and that's how they get your kid to open up, because they're buying them all the stuff that you won't buy them. And then it's, okay, send me this picture. Okay, now download this app, and now me and you can chat privately, and I'm going to send you more. And I mean, they're doing this very young. And then after they've sent over enough of themselves, well, now if you don't keep it going, now you're in trouble. You're going to tell your parents, now you got to meet up with me, send me your ad. What does your home look like? It can be that simple. You know what I mean? Do you know what city you live in? And I mean, your kids so young know stuff that you don't know. And it can get scary quick.
And I heard that sometimes they act as if they're the same age as the kid.
That's another tactic,
right? So
peer to peer.
That's my friend.
Yep. And that's why I teach my son too. Like, I had to ban him from playing online because I saw the lines getting blurred. Well, I mean, he's not allowed to chat or anything. I've always shut it off, but I had to take him completely off because I even noticed the word association. Well, my friend's online. That's not your friend, because you don't know who that is on the other end of that computer.
Good point.
And kids can't distinct that.
That's right.
They could even use a voice changer in their voice chatting with your kid, and they would never know.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
just keep them off of it. There's enough games that aren't online too.
Yeah.
You know, but definitely not that.
So as a parent, you're saying we should look for alternatives than being
100%.
online. So
Yeah, use games that just don't play online. Your
Yeah.
kid might hate it at first, but oh well.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Your safety's more important. Explain to them why too.
Mhm.
I think that's another thing. We're not talking to our kids enough.
Good point.
Yeah, and even like teenage, teaching them how to stay safe, because we know teenagers are going to smoke, they're going to drink at some point. If your kid's allowed out late, maybe giving them tips to, you know, avoid stuff like that.
And what about even the abuse that some high school students are experiencing from their boyfriends? You hear a lot about teachers. We're finding that teachers are accosting children more so than I've ever seen before. And the dynamic now seems to be women doing it to boys.
Mm-hmm.
That's shocking. And it's something new. I've never heard of this. It's like a new phenomenon. And so what's causing this? What's happening?
Right.
So how do we tell our kids, even if you're a young man, you're in high school, you're in middle school, you don't have to have sex with a female teacher just because.
Right.
You know, you don't have to do that. And so
I think it's too, the female teachers see the vulnerability in a teenage, because we know they're in a hyper sexualized state as teen boys naturally are.
Yeah.
So it's like, to them, it maybe not seem like an abuse.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, whatever I watched online just became true. My fantasy. It's not a fantasy. It's not cute. It's not funny. And they're not going to realize it till they're like way older that this messed them up.
So now we talked a little bit about the trauma responses that people have when they've been abused.
Yeah.
Now that affects your behavior.
Yeah.
So now you might see a child who all of a sudden is very promiscuous, and you're like, wait.
Ooh, especially for teens.
For
That's
teens.
a big one. Yeah.
So let's say the teen was, very quiet, very subdued. Now all of a sudden the kid is dressing a certain way, looking a certain way. They're hypersexual. You see hypersexual behavior even in adults who've been molested as they get older. And you're like, what is that all about? And then you have to think about it. Oh, that's a trauma response.
Right.
They become a sexual object, so to speak. And so now they're used to it from their predator doing that to them. So now they're thinking, okay, well, I'm going to use my hypersexuality to get what I need to get. So, they're groomed to do that. And that's,
100%. I think, too, maybe we could leave them with some tips of like...
That'd be great.
Because we were talking about consent a little bit. So just to make it clear, you can't consent to something if you're intoxicated, if you're knocked out, like unconscious, heavily intoxicated, asleep, incapacitated. Just because you can't say no does not mean that that's a yes.
Correct.
And so you kind of have to understand that it doesn't matter if you went home with a guy and you were super drunk and you knocked out. If you woke up and he did something to you when you were knocked out, that's not consent.
Excellent.
Your consent should be clear, enthusiastic, outgoing, sober-minded, and freely given, not forced. Okay, so if someone is unsure, scared, frozen, heavily intoxicated, or unconscious, that's not consent, just to be clear. And then also for young adults, because we know we were talking about college age, never leave your drinks unattended, which is kind of like a no-dur, right? But don't treat drinks that are already open. Use the buddy system, which that's a biggie. Don't leave your intoxicated friends alone.
No.
Arrange transportation before you go out. Make sure your phone is charged and share your location with a trusted friend. I think that's a big one. There is an app I want to share with you guys too. I have for my younger sister that's in college. It's called Life 360.
Oh, okay.
It will tell me her unsafe driving behaviors, it will tell me if her phone's about to die. So it will say, your sister's away from home and her phone's about to die. Call her. So then I'll be like, where are you at and why is your phone about to die? You know what I mean? What do you got going on? And not that she's been in any bad situation, but it has helped out. You know what I mean? It even tells you if you have a teenager and they're driving unsafe, it will send me a driving report. Well, she took an hour-long drive and she was on her phone while driving.
Get out of here.
Yeah, she went over the speed limit X amount of times. So Life 360 is a game changer for that. And it always tells me. And then you can save locations. So she can save her friend's house so I can see if she's at an unknown location. Is she at a friend's? Is she at her home?
So now what you're saying is technology can be used for
In a
bad,
good way
but it
as
can
well.
also be used for good.
Yes,
good. So it
100%.
depends on how you use the technology.
How you use it. There's always a light and a dark side
That's
of
right.
things, you
That's
know.
right.
And so I think as parents, it's us being aware of the dangers in it and making sure we're using it for their own good.
Wow.
But I highly recommend that for your teens, especially.
I'm glad we had this
Yes.
conversation, and I hope I hope we can have a follow-up to
Right.
that as well, maybe even talk to some parents and maybe even some of the people from indigenous tribes to come and talk a little bit about what's going on and why is it so high in their community.
100%.
You know? So, wow. Well, thank
Maybe
you.
the next Hot Topics.
That'd be great.
Yes.
That'd be great.
So stay tuned for next time. We'll have another hot topic for you guys, but that's it for today.